What is up, Sleepers fans? Welcome into the Kansas Green Bay breakdown. I'm Matt. He's Riley with Sleepers Media. The Jayhawks 94-51 win over Doug Gottlieb's Green Bay Phoenix. There are no Phoenix rising from the ashes here tonight, Riley. I don't know, just initial reaction to this game and what we saw from Kansas.
For one, I'm really sad we didn't get to see LeBron ball out.
I
LeBron
know.
Thomas for Green Bay, 1 for 4, 4 points. Did not have
Okay.
the breakout game we were hoping for, especially when I gassed him up as like a shifty
Yeah.
lefty handler in the preview.
It
So
was our chance to have First Take lead with Darren Peterson outduels LeBron for the first time ever, and they took that away from us.
they did take that away from us. Thank you, Doug Gottlieb.
Figures.
But Kansas was impressive. I thought this game started out a little bit sluggish. I
Mhm.
remember I think they had only scored, it's like it felt like it was 21-8 for forever. Somewhere
Yeah.
like in the 18 to
Yeah.
21 points range. And
Yeah.
you're sort of watching Kansas maybe have some offensive struggles outside of DP. And all those questions start rising in my head at least. It's like, oh, was this supporting cast that I was higher on than I thought consensus? Like not
Mhm.
really gonna live up to it. But then, they sort of hit their stride. And Water found its level playing against an inferior Green Bay squad and sort of ran away with it. But
Yeah.
even beyond that, how I think they did it. I mean, they ended up hitting 10 threes tonight. I think that's a great number that you would love. Like if you can get 9 to 10 threes from this Kansas team
Sure.
on a near nightly basis, you take that and go with it. But I was more impressed by the physicality shown across the board. I thought we'll get to Peterson. Of course, he's always going to be the headliner, but I thought Floyd Badunga was awesome. Dude, he was a monster in this game,
Mhm.
knocking down like he hit two hook shots back to back, really showing really nice touch. I mean, finished with 23 points. I think he made his first 9 shots and just looked more than capable of taking that step forward that I think Kansas fans are hoping for. Bryson Tiller, I thought was really nice off the bench, had some big moments. And Melvin Council, that
Yeah.
was like
That's the
he was
guy.
the biggest surprise for me where, all throughout the offseason, it seemed like well, I don't know. I want to call him the forgotten guy, but I don't know if it's just because I forgot about him. I think I was skeptical of a St. Bonaventure transfer who
Sure.
was, I think, a 29% three-point shooter last year, but he was so good in transition. I mean, he's so quick with the ball in his hands, gets on the court in a hurry, and it's like you can just tell Kansas fans are going to love him because he plays so hard and does all the little things you need to win.
Yeah, Council's a guy I got to see a lot. I watch a decent amount of A10 basketball, so I was pretty familiar. And when, Bill Self makes this Tyshawn Taylor comp, I was like, ooh, high praise. But you kind of saw that where he used that like just straight line speed to really put Green Bay on its heels. I thought the way he played like really allows the Kansas bigs to like impose their will too, because he takes so much attention and he's willing to throw the lob every time. And he made Flory's life really easy. You mentioned it, Flory Badunga, career high tonight, 9 of 11 from the field. That's awesome. And like only 25 minutes. If he's putting up 23 and 6 in, mid 20s minutes over, over a game like this, I think he's in for a huge year. Council, though, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Said 0 steals, but it felt like he was everywhere defensively too. And like Green Bay guards didn't even want to dribble around him, which was awesome. The one that was a little surprised to me was El Marco Jackson played 17 minutes, only took 1 shot and went 0 for 1. Just kind of thought he'd do a little bit more in a game like this. And that's a guy I think they need like consistent scoring from this year. So I don't know, maybe just a one-off and he was happy to let other guys get theirs, but I didn't love that from them. That's maybe the one nitpick here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. He had a really bad turnover on an entry pass to Paul and Mbaya late as well that I think Self was like losing his mind over, even though the game was out of hand at that point.
Yeah.
Kansas had secured the victory, but to me, that's always something I'll watch for in these situations where you can sort of pick up on that. Like, of course, I think they even said it on the broadcast that Self still expects perfection when they're up 40, and yet I don't think he would have had that reaction if it wasn't someone he had high hopes for. And I
Mhm.
think Kansas is viewing El Marco as someone who needs to contribute this year. I mean, missed all of last year with injury, and then had some bright spots his freshman year, albeit just a roller coaster of a ride and an up and down campaign. And I know that's not all that uncommon, even for McDonald's All-American types. But yeah, I think I would have liked to see him at least be a little more aggressive, get downhill a little bit. But on the contrary, or the conversely speaking, I would say maybe it's a little bit of a reflection of how good Council was as that secondary ball handler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do research for a living, Riley, so I'm big on research for games like this. So I actually listened to the Doug Gottlieb podcast today to get ready for the
Wow.
game. Uh, Doug said their game plan was to slow things down and to grind it to a halt because they knew they couldn't run with Kansas. Kansas still ends up with 94 points in a game that someone was intentionally trying to like stall them, which I think says a lot about their ability to turn defense into offense. And Doug also said the carrot is for my players when you win a game like this, it'll be the greatest story in sports for a day. So that's how he was going to motivate everyone was that they would lead Sports Center and all those things. So I thought that was just I don't know. Do you really need to get guys hyped up to play Kansas at Kansas like that? That seems like enough of a carrot itself. But that was a little I don't know. It was classic Gottlieb, I think.
Yeah, I did you watch this game thinking Green Bay was especially locked in or ready to compete?
I tell you what, there were certain stretches where I'm like, hey, that's actually pretty good offense they're running here. And
Uh-huh.
I feel like Kansas just kind of blew it up. It didn't really matter what they ran. Like they did a decent amount of stuff for Marcus Hall, who we talked about in the pregame. He was pretty good. He's probably the only player who looked like he kind of belonged on this court for most of the game here. He finished with 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. But other than that, no, I didn't, I didn't see any floor slapping or anything like that, like I was hoping we'd get.
Yeah, I was gonna give you your credit for Marcus Hall because you gave him a shout out on the preview. I thought like I mean, he's
He's
pretty
solid.
crafty. He could
Yeah.
handle a little bit. Good size shooting combination. But even to that point about Gottlieb saying he was going to slow the game down, if my math is correct, just looking at the stat breakdown, there were only 62 possessions in this game.
Mhm.
So he did a decent job
Yeah.
slowing it down. However, he gave up 1.5 points per possession, which is like elite offense. I don't know how
Yeah.
many people follow the advanced point per possession stuff who listen. So just to contextualize that is an elite offensive night. Maybe it even makes me look bad for saying they started off slowly in the first half. I swear they did, but
I
once
no,
once they
it was 18-8, like you said, for like a pretty good stretch of this game. There were 9 minutes into the game, it was 18-8. So that's pretty slow, I think. I think you're right.
yeah. So anyway, a great offensive night for the Jayhawks. Just good to see. I don't know if you look at this. Were there any questions about this team? That was the big thing that we sort of led with in the preview. Any questions that you would say like, oh, check this box again? You don't. I don't know how much you can really glean from a team that's projected to finish at the bottom of the horizon, a team that won 4 games last year, but you can still see. I don't know. I look for guys who at least look more confident, look more athletic, look like they've made it, maybe refine their game a little bit. Yeah. Is there any questions that you would say, if not answer, we're at least moving closer to an answer after this one?
I thought the shooting was good. That's still one question I kind of had about this group. They were 37% from three. That doesn't mean they'll do that every night, but like you said, 10 threes is a pretty solid amount. They were pretty efficient around the rim, which I thought was good too. They had 38 points in the paint. You'd love to see that.
Hmm.
Points off turnovers, 17. Like it just the indicators you want to see from a team like this that I think is gonna be like fairly defensive driven. They did that stuff and converted on it pretty well. So no complaints about this Jayhawks performance. A great way to start the year for them.
Yeah. To answer my own question, I guess I love what you said about their points in the paint at 38. I would even point to they held Green Bay to 16 points in the
Yeah.
paint, where I sort of think, and I know it didn't necessarily bear out with the possessions that they had in this one, but I kind of think I know like even in the preview you were saying you didn't expect this Kansas team to get up and down the court too much. I kind of think that might be their best identity
They have to. They're just
is
watching them tonight. They got to run on people. Yeah, I'm with
like
you.
with whether it's Council or whether it's DP,
Yeah.
and you have two dudes who are just so fast with the ball in their hands, and obviously an incredible rim runner in Flory. But I would even say beyond that, it's like r- push tempo and just be physical and tougher than everybody else.
Mhm.
Maybe that's oversimplifying it, but I'm just watching this front court pairing of Bryson Tiller and Flory Badunga, and it's like there's limbs everywhere. Two guys with massive shoulders who have good defensive instincts, and I could see them just bullying a bunch of teams. I mean, Badunga finished with 3 blocks. I thought Badunga even looked more mobile on the perimeter than
He
normal.
was
Like
good. Yeah.
I thought he held his own in space last year, but there were times watching him contesting 3-point shots in this game where it's like, man, he looks even a little more nimble than he did as
Mhm.
a freshman. So I think there's a world where. I mean, you mentioned Melvin Council. I mean, being a Bulldog, watching him in the A10, Peterson with that 6'6" frame. Cole Rosario, we haven't mentioned him yet, but I know he had a really rough night shooting, but I like that he at least battled on the
Yeah,
glass. Like he
I
has
agree.
that college ready frame. They have positional size across the board with guys who are not just tall with long wingspans, but also just like well built grown men.
Mhm.
And if they're not grown men, they're Darren Peterson or Cole Rosario, who are already built like grown men. So yeah, I think there's a world they can lean into that identity and be quite formidable.
Let's just talk Peterson for like one more second here. Finishes with 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 2 steals, a 7-11 from the field, 3 of 7 from three. He missed a couple early, and then it felt like he got going. This was a dude, I think you just nailed it, Riley. Like, you never watched him and thought freshman at any point in time. It felt like he could get anywhere he wanted on the court. Nobody was really going to bother him or kind of take him out of his game. And I think that just makes everybody else's life so much easier on this team. Is like, even when he doesn't take over, he still has that sort of gravity's maybe not the right word to him, but just everybody's aware of him on the court. And I think that just kind of frees these other guys up to just do their thing and simplifies everybody else's game too.
For sure. That I mean, the first half was special. You had that hit ahead pass to Flory for the dunk. That was sick. You had the
Yeah,
steal that led to, I think, a fast break point for him. Uh, Highlight reel dunk too. Like just showed off everything in his arsenal. And how many minutes did he finish with? Like 21?
23, 24, something like that.
Because
Yeah,
I believe that he sat the final 13. Maybe it was a cramping issue. Maybe it was something. I know they said on the
22.
podcast he spent time with the trainer. So hopefully he's healthy, whatever it is, that it was more precautionary. It's like, I mean, you did your work tonight, Darren.
Yeah.
Like, fear not. I think it's going to be so fascinating to watch this battle of like the top three recruits to see who ends up going number one. I love Cam Boozer's game.
Hmm.
I have a really hard time rooting against Cam Boozer as a Carolina fan just because he is a pure winner who just shows up and hoops. But I just don't get how like I mean, I still think the NBA is mainly a guard-driven league,
Hmm.
big guard-driven league. You got to
Sure.
caveat that now. Like every all the best guards are 6'5" and bigger, but Peterson's 6'6", and I'm like, I don't get how you pass up on this dude.
It's really tough. I mean, he could come in tomorrow and lead a team in scoring, it feels like. But as a Wizards fan, I wouldn't mind seeing Peterson come in and instantly be their best player. But I think he just kind of nailed it with everything he does. And yeah, that only having to play 22 minutes, it's like a special player in college basketball that can put up those numbers and cramp at the end of every games. It seems to always lead to a great season. We saw with Paolo Banchero. Cooper Flag did it a little bit early. So, maybe this is a good omen for Mr. Peterson.
For sure.
Riley, any parting thoughts here before we close this one out?
I still feel good about this Kansas team where we had them in that 10 to 12 range, maybe even higher. It just kind of feels like they have I don't know, sometimes I think depth gets overblown, especially like September and October,
Yeah.
everybody feels good about their depth. But when Paul Mbaya is playing late minutes there, it's like, oh wow, this was like a pretty sought after
Hmm.
international recruit. And I think Mbaya is much more physical tools at this point than he is proven player. And I wouldn't expect him to have big numbers this year. He's so raw,
Sure.
but it still you can do worse than throwing a guy with a 9'8" standing reach
Right.
who's like a legit 7-footer out there as your what third string big.
Yeah, if he plays 10 minutes a game for you or somebody's in foul trouble and he can just fill in and just take up space, like that's a win.
Yeah. Oh, I love that they also had the 26-year-old kid nail the three and the bench was
Hmm.
crazy. That was fun to see. Seems like there's some good chemistry there. Yeah.
Look pretty clean too. Yeah, like you said, that when your lottery pick is the first guy off the bench, even after cramping this year for him, like that's a great sign.
Yeah. Well, that's all I give your Kansas fan.
Riley, great stuff, man. This was fun doing this with you. Kansas fans, great start to the year. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, 94-51 win. And this was Sleepers Media. We'll be back with more throughout the season here covering the Jayhawks.